This liberal culture, this liberal culture licenses people to drink alcohol to the point of their own oblivion, as demonstrated here.
Can I say Christianity?
Can you say Christianity? Can you say Christianity?
I don't believe in belief. Things either are
Do you believe
or they're
that?
not. I don't believe in belief.
Do you believe that?
What?
What you've just said?
I don't believe in belief.
Do you believe it?
I don't believe in belief.
Yeah, but do you believe that?
I didn't disagree with Christianity and think the Christians were wrong. I just like.
Go on, I really want to know why you stopped being a Christian. Appeared to me, who would I worship?
I said Jesus.
And I answered,
I didn't say
yeah, and then you said if you prayed to the Father. Do you see what I mean?
I don't want to be.
You see what I mean? They ask a question, and then when they
Bobby,
meet a
I want to
Christian-
hear your answer though, but not on camera. Please.
Right.
You can be on camera at least.
Okay, I'll be on camera. You asked the question, the hypothetical question. If the Father and the Son appeared to
No,
me,
that wasn't the question, Bob.
Father and Jesus.
No, I said
and
Jesus appeared. I said Jesus appeared.
and he prostrated to the Father, who would I worship? My honest answer is I would worship both. That is my honest answer. It might not be an answer that fits into the narrative, but that is the honest answer. Now let me ask you this hypothetical question. Let me ask you a hypothetical question.
I don't want to be on camera.
Get eyes in the house.
I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on your
Are we
camera.
still on for you getting my 500? 20%. 20%. Oh, he's gone. Where's he gone? He's ran off. He ran off. He ran off. Do you see what I mean? You just saw it live. The Muslims go around asking Christians the same questions every week, and they keep going around until they find a gullible Christian who doesn't know how to defend their faith. Then when they meet a Christian who does know how to defend their faith, they run off. And that's what you've just seen, literally, right in front of you. I'm not making it up. Did you not see that, bro?
Can I say Christianity?
Can you say Christianity? Can you say Christianity? Say Christianity. Can you say Christianity?
It's a profanity.
What's a profanity?
Christianity.
Well, at least he can say the word. Why is it a profanity, bro?
Because it's the worst religion in the Bible.
It's the worst religion in the Bible, bro.
Are you
it's
a
the only religion
Okay,
in the
okay.
Bible.
No,
It's the
now we
only.
got a conversation.
Brother.
Are you a Christian?
Brother, yes, I am a Christian.
Okay.
Brother,
Are you
can I ask you a
gonna
question? How much have you drunk before coming to the park today?
Well, very much.
I want to share you some words with you.
Well, actually, fair play. Okay, I've had a few drinks, but not enough to believe in like snaking, talking snakes. Can you show me the page? Is there a talking
I want to
snake
share
here?
something with you.
Okay, share it with me. Yeah.
Be on alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. Let all that you do be done in love.
Thank you.
Abusing alcohol, brother,
Well, that's fair enough.
is abusing yourself.
But didn't Jesus
No.
turn water into
Bro.
a loaf of bread?
Bro, I drink alcohol, but I don't
Oh,
abuse
you
it.
do.
Your alcohol has already made you into a fool before the camera.
Really?
You couldn't even speak. Your
Well, I'm
speech
pretty
is
happy
slurred.
with this.
Your
And I'm
speech is
way
slurred.
cleverer than you.
Brother, listen
Okay,
to me.
let's crack on then.
I'm not the one that's
Okay,
drunk.
don't look at the book.
I'm not the one that's
Is
drunk.
the book going to save you?
Yeah.
Okay, fold the book
It will.
over
It will.
and
It
speak
will
to me as a
save
man.
you. I am speaking to you as a man.
Okay, then
I am saying.
close the book.
I'm saying
Speak
that
to me
being a
as a man
drunkard,
in front of the camera.
being a drunkard is not a man.
Okay.
Giving yourself over
So
to
you
the
drink,
abuse
yeah?
of alcohol
Okay,
is
so
not
you believe
a man.
you believe in this Jesus man that like turned
This
water
sadly
into wine.
represents too much of England.
Really?
Our addiction and abuse to the pub
Actually, I'm Norwegian.
and to pub culture.
Snakker du norsk?
You're a Norwegian.
Kan du snakke norsk?
Fair enough. We
Yeah?
can work with
Snakker
that
du
as
norsk?
well. We
Kan
can
du
work with that
forstå
as
meg?
well.
Yeah? Yeah? That
The
won't save you.
Norwegians landed in
That
the
boat-
UK.
That boat won't save you.
It will save
Close
your
the
liver
book.
if you listen to it.
Close the book.
Brother, it would
Speak to
save
me
your
as man.
liver.
Speak to me as
I
a
am
human
speaking
being.
to you as a man.
All right, close the book.
Now the deeds
Nothing
of
will
the
save
flesh
you.
are evident, which are immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmities, strife, as we've just seen amongst the Muslims today, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions,
Close the book and speak to me.
envying,
Why won't you
drunkenness, carousing, and things like these, of which I forewarn you, just as I have forewarned you, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God.
You got one chance here, yeah? Shut the book
Brother,
and speak to me as a man.
I am speaking to you as a
without
man.
the book. Put the
By
book in your pocket.
seeking to
your
imitate,
book
I
in
don't
your
need to.
pocket.
I don't need to.
Okay.
I don't
Can
need
you
to.
do not?
Christ is the only
Are you
true
educated?
man.
Are you educated?
And we
are
must
you
follow
educated?
him,
Are you
and
educated?
that will make
Are you
us men.
educated? Listen.
Go on.
Listen.
Make
Are
your
you
point.
educated?
Is that your point?
Are you educated?
Yes, sir.
In what way are you educated?
I have a degree
In what?
in religion.
Okay.
Are you educated?
Yes, very much.
In
I have
what?
a PhD
In?
in psychology.
It hasn't helped you one jot though, has it?
Well,
Because you got a degree in psychology and you're abusing alcohol. Brother, that disease is going to kill you. It's going to put you in an early grave.
and you believe in fairies.
You think that I believe in fairy tales.
Why?
But those fairy tales,
When you speak to me,
but those fairy
like,
tales
be a man.
have
When you
stopped
speak
me
to me
from
don't,
abusing
like,
alcohol.
Involve the crowd.
No.
Speak to me as a man.
I am speaking
Look
to
at
you
me
as a
in
man.
the eyes, yeah?
Those fairy tales that you mock have kept me from abusing
Oh, you're
alcohol.
right. Sorry, don't spit on me. Yeah?
That PhD that you have in psychology hasn't helped you one jot, because
Why?
here
Why
you
not?
are, stood as a drunk. Brother, there is a better way.
So you're mocking the Muslims, are you?
No, Bray. What I'm mocking is a man who is mocking the fairy tales that stop a man from abusing alcohol,
Look at me in the
who
eyes
is
when you
abusing
speak to me,
alcohol. You're so drunk you can't even tell when I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at anyone else. You man up. Get off the alcohol. Be a man. Take responsibility for your life and
Richard,
stop
word.
giving yourself over to drugs and its abuse.
And drugs.
Alcohol is a drug, my friend.
Is tea a drug?
Yes, it is.
So why did God take Noah? Why
It
did
is a
God,
drug.
God take Noah?
Oh, is he going to say that?
To build the ark.
All right, shall
When he
we?
was a drunken
Wine used in
streaker.
the Christian
A
religion.
drunken streaker.
Why is alcohol used in the Christian
876
religion?
years of age.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
to answer the
He can't
question
answer
very
that.
directly, he says I can't answer it. Perhaps if you would listen to an answer.
Drink of the blood
So
of Jesus
it's
and
simply,
eat his
it's
body,
simply
you
this:
vampire.
God uses sinners.
Cannibal.
The only sinless person there's ever been is Jesus Christ, and every person,
Hey,
including
stop
all
shouting.
the prophets
Speak like a
and all the
proper person,
patriarchs,
yeah? You
were
don't
all
have to
sinners.
shout.
David
No one's
was a
watching,
sinner.
yeah? Don't
Noah
shout.
was a sinner. Adam was a sinner.
Are you a sinner?
Paul was a sinner.
Are you a
Peter
sinner?
was a sinner. And
Are you a
I
sinner?
am a sinner.
Oh, well, that's a religion.
Oh my God.
We've
got a sinner here.
I asked a question.
Fair enough. Merry Christmas.
What is your
Do
sin?
you have a New Testament?
Yes, I do.
Right,
Do you
can
read
I
it?
ask you a question?
I haven't for
Young
many,
man.
many years.
I would encourage you to pick it back up.
Why does he
I've
keep
had a New
spitting?
Testament for
Just
over
I
pick it
would
50 years.
encourage you
Pick it up and
to
then
pick
put
it
it
back
down.
up.
Why do you spit?
Look at the hatred in his
I've
heart.
got Buddha sitting on
Look
it.
at the hatred in his heart.
Get back.
Look at the hatred in his heart.
Oh, you're a scouser, aren't
He
you?
hates the Christians.
I'm
And you can see he hates the Christians. Brother, you need
Don't call
seriously.
me brother.
I'm going to call you brother.
Why?
And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Brother, you need a better way than the way you're following. The way you're following is going to lead you into an early grave.
How are you doing?
Please, for your
How are
own
you
sake.
doing?
Well, I'm not drunk.
How are you doing?
I'm not drunk.
How are you doing?
I would encourage you,
You're a
brother.
nutter.
I would
You're
encourage
a
you,
nutter.
brother. I would encourage you,
You're a
brother,
nutter.
to give up this thing.
Okay.
That is
Then,
destroying
like,
you.
listen to me.
Go on,
Look
make
into
one
my
point, and then
eyes
I'm going to go.
Listen to me. I can save you.
Go on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
By psychology, by
Really?
science.
Why hasn't he saved
I can
you?
save you. Why do you believe in
Why hasn't
fairy
he
tales?
saved you?
Why do you believe in...
Why hasn't
Well,
he
we're
saved
standing
you?
here. Okay, I'm going to stand back. Me and you, yeah? I'll stand over this white line, you stand over this
I'm going to
white
let
line.
him have the last word, and then I'm going to
Okay,
go.
come here. Stand over this white
No,
line.
bro, I don't do what you say.
Let's have separation, yeah? I can help you. I can heal you. Stand over here.
There you go.
You want to hear
That's
it?
what alcohol
All
does
right.
to you guys.
All right, so You don't listen.
Merry Christmas
Why don't
and have a good night.
No,
Merry
I
Christmas.
can heal you. Stand over here. I heal you.
Christ
Listen to
says,
me.
Christ says that we shouldn't throw
Alright,
pearls before
alright.
swine.
All you want to do is talk.
The apostle, the prophets
Okay.
say
I'm gonna
that
give you
strong
one
wine,
chance. Okay.
that
I'm a nice
wine
guy.
makes a fool of
I'm a
strong
nice
men. Brother,
Stand here.
you need to
I
get
heal
off this
you.
alcohol. Take care
Okay.
of yourself.
I'm going to stand
That's
here.
all I can
and
say.
I can
the
heal
Christian
you.
Give up
alcoholics?
the alcohol.
I can heal
What
you.
about the Christian alcoholics?
My advice to them is
Alcoholics
exactly the
Anonymous
same.
started
Hey,
by
Exactly the same.
Alcoholics Anonymous was started by Christian alcoholics.
They're anonymous. How do you know?
No, he's right. Alcoholics Anonymous.
Because we
What's
know
that?
who started it.
Anonymous.
They wrote about it.
And let's just deal with that point.
I can heal you.
The people who started it wrote about
He's
the
quite
experience.
right. No, Alcoholics Anonymous was started by Christians.
I can heal you.
And Alcoholics
Can I heal this
Anonymous
man?
has
I want
saved,
to heal this man.
and Alcoholic
I
Anonymous
want to heal you.
has saved countless thousands of people from the abuse of alcohol that liberalism would hand people over, and that sadly this poor man is a demonstration of the fruit of.
I want to heal.
So
Let me touch
the
your
brother
shoulder.
testifies. The brother
Are you healed?
testifies.
You
The
can
brother
now-
testifies.
Don't touch me.
The brother testifies of the fruit of the Christian
Let me
religion.
heal you.
That
Let me heal you.
thousands of
Can I
alcoholics
heal you?
have been set
Can I heal
free
you?
of their alcoholic abuse by Christians
Can I heal you?
who were inspired
This guy's the
by
doctor.
Jesus, not by
I want to
atheism,
I want to heal him.
not by
I want to heal
liberalism,
you by silence.
not by him, not by Muhammad, but by
Because I have a
Christ
free mind. I
and
can
the
drink-
church.
You can't blame liberalism for everyone, yeah? Let me heal
None of
him.
you. I can blame liberalism for the fact that we tolerate alcohol abuse in this society
What do you want
and
to do
see
about
it
it?
as a lifestyle choice.
Can I
Can't
heal
blame
you?
liberalism.
If someone is
Why wouldn't
addicted
people-
to
why wouldn't people
alcohol,
addicted to
they
alcohol?
should be forced by the state to have help. Yes, forced by the
not mad
state.
enough.
And a lot of right-wing people
Can
are
I
thinking
heal you?
I am a Christian. I think that.
I
I'm not
heal
right wing.
you?
Well, but I know, but it's not liberalism. That's what I'm saying.
Can
No,
I heal
no.
you?
What is liberalism?
But I'm saying alcoholism isn't liberalism.
Liberalism is about giving the maximum
Okay.
amount of
I'm
freedom
gonna
to
pay you money to
individuals
heal you.
to live
Yeah.
their own life
Yeah.
in their own way.
It doesn't mean
desperate
liberalism
for
is about
money.
alcoholism. It doesn't-
How much money do you need?
Liberalism sees alcohol
I'll give you
abuse
money,
as
yeah?
a lifestyle
You're
There's
desperate.
no
choice.
problem.
How much money
But
do
not
you
a
need?
problem that it's willing to bring
give you
people
money.
out of.
I think
It's
there's-
like
there's
looking.
funding within-
It's like looking
within-
at people drowning.
Liberals don't want to
No,
see.
hold on.
The liberals don't want to see people being alcoholics, do they?
No, they do actually allow
They
them
don't
to
want
be.
to see people
Sorry,
being alcoholics,
I'm sorry.
do they, Bob?
In another life,
Do they, Bob?
Let me address that point.
Yes, go on.
Right.
Listen.
In another life,
Yes.
I worked for a pharmacy.
Yes.
Right? And in
you
that
don't.
pharmacy,
that's bullshit.
rather than helping people who are addicted to opioids come off their addiction,
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
all
They're
that we
parking on
did,
Yeah, I'll tell you
all
what
that we
you are,
did,
yeah?
Parking them
and
on
it was
methadone.
funded by the state,
Yeah, parking
was
them on
simply
methadone.
to park them
I'm
on
gonna-
methadone.
I know, I know.
I'm
The
gonna
British
cut this man
liberal
£30
state.
But then-
to buy you
Look,
drugs,
one
yeah?
second.
You're
Let me finish.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? The British, no, I don't.
I don't know
The
what you're
British state, which is a
Oh,
liberal
the British.
state,
Yeah.
sees
All
the
right, so you're
drowning
against the
man
Muslims and
and
the
says to him,
No.
here's a
Oh,
lifeboat,
where do you
use
come
it
from, brother?
if you want to.
Bob, they did park people methadone.
They do,
They did.
not did,
But-
they're doing
but
it
when
now.
when they see it doesn't work, they're trying something else. Aren't they?
No, they're not trying something
They're
else.
trying something else.
Well,
No,
that's
don't.
changed very
No, they
recently
don't.
then.
Well, in the last few
When
years.
I worked
But
in
yeah,
a pharmacy, they
you are-
certainly
right, they
didn't.
did. But I'm not
Yeah,
saying
£20
liberalism
for
isn't
you to fuck
alcoholism,
up,
is
yeah.
it? Liberalism
Can I
isn't
heal him?
alcoholism, is it? They aren't encouraging alcoholism, are they?
Yes, they do.
They're not encouraging alcoholism.
Yes, they do.
They'd rather see people not drinking alcohol.
This
But they
liberal
have a certain
culture,
free choice.
no, this liberal culture licenses people to drink alcohol to the point of their own oblivion, as demonstrated
how would
here.
you see? How would
All
you
right,
see?
okay,
Right?
don't
would you
judge
see
me.
So,
culture do?
I'm
Hey,
not judging
man,
you, bro.
man,
What
have
I'm
you
saying
been
to you, man up,
Have you let me
because
touch your
what you
shoulder?
are right now is not a man.
So what are you?
I'm not drunk.
So what are you doing?
So, brother, I'm a Christian.
So what are you doing?
So what I'm saying
Come
to you,
on. So you're holier than
we
me.
have
Are you
a
holier than
society.
me?
Yes.
Speak to me.
that because I'm talking to him now.
It's all right. It's all right.
So we have a society
Listen,
that has
listen.
licensed the use of alcohol
Yes.
to the point of public destruction.
Yeah.
And it literally is destroying our society.
All right. So
in
you're-
every conceivable
all right,
way.
are you the one
It has
causing
been
the riot
before,
here?
Yes,
since Middle Ages.
and the reason why
that wasn't liberalism.
No,
Middle
hold on
Ages,
one
was it?
second. The reason why is because
You
we
can't
live in a
even speak
culture
to a man,
that
can
is
you? When you're
consumerist,
challenged, you can't
is
speak.
consumerist,
Yes.
and that
That's
seeks
not
to.
liberalism either. Consumerism isn't liberalism.
It's part of liberalism.
Well, it's part of the right-wing culture in America as well.
It's part of the liberal worldview.
Well, it's part of right-wing culture in America as well, isn't
You're
it?
trying to separate liberalism into right and left and
Yeah, I am.
distance
Yeah.
liberalism from the left.
Well, no, I'm saying that it isn't the left that wants alcohol.
You don't understand. You don't understand what liberalism is. Liberalism is the move from.
Everybody have the
No,
freedom to do what
it's
they
a
want.
move from a theistic worldview to an anthropic worldview, anthropological worldview. It is when society moved the idea of God as the centre of its raison d'etre and replaced it with the idea of humanity.
So right-wing people who don't believe in God are liberal.
Also,
They're liberal.
along with communists.
They're liberal.
Yes.
Communists are liberal.
Yes.
But communists enforce a lot of rules on people, don't they?
All of
And
these
they cause-
ideologies are liberal.
Like China, they're actually enforcing people's behaviour now. They're bringing like social media and social what do you call it? Social
when the
capital, aren't
newfangled,
they?
when
Like,
the new,
they're supposed to
let's be
communists,
clear.
aren't they?
Let's be clear because you've got to understand the historical context.
Yeah.
When the newfangled ideas of the Enlightenment emerged,
Yes.
they were understood as liberal ideas.
Yes. But do you see? Have you
Now,
seen that
out of that,
China?
sorry, one second.
Go on.
Out of that Enlightenment
Yeah.
emerges both your Nazi, your capitalist, your socialist, and your communist.
All right, but if the communists
That's
now,
why they're
if the
all
communists
liberal.
now in China are saying that basically they're bringing the social capital in, and what they're saying now is that if people are alcoholics or spend a lot of money on alcohol, they're going to get less social capital, and in the end they're not going to be able to fly on planes, and that's a communist technocracy now, and they're trying to stop people being alcoholics by basically giving a.
Are you a communist by any chance?
Why would I be a communist?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Why would I be a communist?
Are you a communist?
I was reading what China are doing, and
just
China
asking.
are. Why would I be a communist?
I don't know if you are. Are you a communist? I'm asking you.
I've no idea.
If you are,
He,
don't be, if you
he
have
doesn't.
end up saying
He doesn't
yes.
know if he's a communist.
Well, what's a communist?
Do you know what a communist is?
Well, I noticed that these communists are in China, but they've got some capitalist version of communism, haven't they?
Well, so, are you a communist?
Not as far as I know.
Not as far as
I
you
don't know. Tell me what communist, and I'll tell you whether I am or not.
Communist is the one who seeks to implement the philosophy of Karl Marx.
I've never read Karl Marx. I've never read Karl Marx.
You've never read Karl
No,
Marx?
no, I've never read Karl Marx.
Okay.
No.
So just for my own inquiry, where do you come from on this ideological spectrum? Where do you sit?
I don't sit on that ideological.
Brother, you're either unbelievably conceited or you're lying. Because everyone sits on an ideological spectrum.
Well, okay, you ask me some questions, and I'll be able to tell you what I can tell you what I think about them, can't I? But I can't tell you I sit on this. I'm not here like.
Is it a case that you don't know where you sit on the ideological spectrum?
No, on each different thing, I'll say what I think. If you ask me a question, I'll tell you what I think about it. But I'm not here with an ideology. Do you understand?
Okay, fair enough. So you're a pragmatist.
What's a pragmatist? Go on, Bob.
So a pragmatist is
making
someone
your life more
who decision,
Well, no,
who
it's
takes
interesting, it's
a
interesting.
pragmatist.
I've not
joking,
talked to
he's
Bob before. I like Bob.
joking.
A pragmatist is someone who makes a decision point by point, and they might make a decision following
Yeah, and-
one
and-
solution one time,
and then reserve it.
and then make a totally
Yeah.
different solution to the same problem.
If they learn more, if they learn
the
something new.
yeah, exactly. So
I
that's a
suppose bit
pragmatist.
pragmatist. Yeah, I
Okay,
suppose
so you do
yeah,
fit on an ideological
Oh, sorry,
spectrum.
all right, okay, there you are. I'm not saying I didn't. Like,
I just didn't know whether you
it was a bit
didn't
like
know
a-
or whether you were
am
just
I a
pretending not
Christian?
to
Am
know.
Well, I needed more explanation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my fundamental point to you is on
Yes.
the question of alcohol abuse.
Yes.
On the question of its abuse.
Yes.
Which is undeniable. It's killing the English. It's killing my own community.
There's been a problem with alcohol
What, bro?
by the year dot. Since
No, it
the year
hasn't.
dot.
No.
Since the year dot. In
Yeah.
the Middle Ages, everyone used to drink beer because the water was fun.
Yeah, so that's. But the point is, that is avoiding a worse problem, which is contaminated water.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there is a
But
reason.
they
for
weren't
that.
liberal then, were they?
No, definitely
No,
not.
they weren't.
But they weren't
In the Middle
abusing alcohol. Alcohol was the safest thing to drink. So in terms
like
of
party time, no?
it's but the point is in those times,
Yes.
right? It would not have been considered a sign of masculinity to get annihilated. That is
you
not.
think so?
No, because a Christian is someone who is self-disciplined, and so.
Do you think there's a lot of Christians
Can
around?
I finish?
Go on, go on.
So to be in control of your passions to the medieval
Right.
man was the truest sign of masculinity.
Do you think they actually lived like that? Or was that
Yes,
your
they did.
imagination?
Yes, they did. In
Really?
terms of, yes, they did. You just need to read some history. In terms
Well,
of,
history is that you will
in terms
kill
of,
each other
brother,
and, like,
in terms of,
crazy.
brother,
There was, like, some horrible
brother,
people in charge and- Go on.
brother, in terms of our modern society today, one of the definitions of masculinity, particularly amongst the white working class, is to annihilate yourself with alcohol.
Absolutely,
That
yeah.
somehow that proves
People go through it, don't
that
they?
you are a man.
People go through that. Yeah.
It-
That's
it
not
is-
liberal, is it?
It is not. It is licensed by liberalism.
But it's not liberal, though, is it?
No, it is. Because in the liberal
liberal,
worldview,
Bob, come on!
it is, brother.
Bob, it's not liberal!
It is. It really is. Because in the liberal worldview, the idea is that the individual decides his own destiny,
Yeah.
his own raison
And what have
d'etre,
you got against that?
his own
What have
identity.
you got against that?
That's I've just expressed it.
Well, you think
One
that
of the
there needs to be some
reasons-
legislation for people not to decide what they want to do. That's like communism or
No,
fascism, isn't
what
it?
I'm saying is,
Isn't it?
when someone is an alcoholic,
Yes.
our society should not park them on methadone
Right.
and leave them there.
Right.
They should be
No,
forced
I
to
think you're
come
right.
off their addiction.
Forced.
Yes.
How?
Forced.
How forced?
Well, I think the best way is that they are removed from their environment,
Arrested.
yes, placed into a centre.
So like
And
China,
given
basically.
cold
Like China.
turkey.
Like China is doing.
I am not against harsh discipline.
Well, like China is doing.
There are other
So
Christian.
China's doing that with Muslims, isn't it? There are a million Muslims or something.
Oh,
aren't there?
in
Supposed to
terms,
supposed
let's
to
be clear.
Getting re-educated.
Let's
into
be
communists,
clear.
aren't they?
Let's be
Aren't
clear.
they? Aren't they?
In terms of harsh discipline,
Yes.
I'm much more in favour of Russia's approach.
Russia.
Yes, Russia's approach is cold turkey. That's Russia's approach. And I think that is a better approach that we need to practice in the
They
UK.
jail alcoholics in Russia.
I don't know if they jailed them.
There's some fucking serious drinkers in Russia, Bob.
I know there are. I know there are. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Really serious drinkers.
Absolutely.
I mean, if
They-
you ever drink with some
they
Russians,
drink vodka like
they're
water.
like they will talk to
I
you and they will
agree.
taste it and everything.
And it's
Yeah.
destroying the
But-
Russians.
So which Russians get arrested for being
I
alcoholics?
don't know if they get arrested.
Ah,
I know that
Bob,
the
I
state solution.
see.
I don't know if the state solution. I don't know if the state solution involves arrest, but what it does involve is cold turkey, and that's what
Oh,
we
for
need in the
junkies?
UK.
For junkies?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't like
Yeah.
junkies. Right. Yeah,
Right.
they don't.
And the fact of the matter is that that is better than the license that we give to alcohol abuse in the UK.
Well, I mean, I suppose a liberal would see heroin as
Medicine.
this is what I would say. Actually, I say you find what I do believe. They describe like heroin addiction as a social problem. They want to, liberals, they seem to want to move away from arresting people
Legalise.
and being a criminal thing.
They want to
And
legalise
help.
it.
They want to help people. Legalise
I think
it,
they
or
wanna-
they want to help
they-
people.
And let me tell you why they want to legalise it.
Go on.
They want to
Go on.
legalise it so they can packet it, stick a label on it, sell it to
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
and then put a
The last
tax on it.
manifesto, they were going to legalise
That's
weed.
what they want to
possibly
do,
true.
and that's why they want to do it.
That's
Richard
possibly
Branson
true.
wants to legalise cannabis so he can have a brand of cannabis called
Absolutely,
Virgin
yeah, yeah.
Cannabis.
Yeah, without doubt.
That's what Richard Branson
I
wants
think
to
that's
do.
true. Yeah.
And that's why we
And
need.
he's
When he
like
get on
a
his
liberal,
flights,
and
then he
liberal
can
at
have
a
a
He is a
liberal
liberal,
level, yeah.
and that's why we need to oppose liberalism, because liberalism has failed the West. It's failing the working class.
But what do you want instead of liberalism?
Christianity.
Yeah, no, but what do you
What's-
think? But in terms of
I'm
law,
surprised he had to
in
ask
terms
that
of-
question.
In terms of reality and law,
But is
do
there
you
a
want?
legal Christian?
I want laws to be informed by Christian ethics. That's what I want.
But for non-Christians,
Yes.
why?
In the same way that
Why?
I'm
you
going to
charge-
answer
will
the
you-
question.
will you
You don't need to
charge-
ask it twice. In the same way that liberal nationalism imposes the values of liberal nationalism on everyone, irrespective of their religion.
They want people to be national.
Will you charge jizya
Liberal
like the Muslims?
nationalism, yeah.
Liberals want people to be national.
Yeah, you've got a lot of packaging
Tommy
around this.
Roberts.
No, that is not necessarily a liberal form
But like
of
he's
nationalism.
quite nationalist, isn't he?
Well, so is David Cameron.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but and is he liberal?
Is David Cameron Tommy Robinson?
Is he a liberal?
Definitely he is.
He's liberal.
David Cameron is definitely.
He's a liberal.
Yes. So is Jeremy Corbyn.
Corbyn, yeah. Well, you would think Corbyn is left wing. Yeah,
So you equate liberalism with the left.
I don't think
I don't
Cameron.
know. I mean, liberalism in America means a different thing than it does over here, doesn't it?
Liberalism to a Christian means anyone who puts humanity at the centre of their civilization and worldview.
So it's like quite all-encompassing, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Like right-wing people would be like Texans with guns and everything would be called liberal.
to me though, right-wing nationalists are liberals like left-wing communists. Because both of them build their ideology on
I know this, but
anthropology,
you come out with someone
on the
who's-
idea of the self
reason-
as the god.
The reason why I ask you sometimes because you come out with things about you come up with some alt-right terminology. Like for example, I've seen you on camera saying soy boy. And things.
Yes.
And you've been watching some alt-right guys.
Yeah,
Which one?
I've watched. Well, firstly, no, hold on one second. I might have fallen.
Soy boy, go on.
No, let me just.
Soy boy, where's that from?
Can I just deal with it?
Yes.
Right. He characterised these people as being alt-right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But just for the record, I disagree with that characterisation.
Okay,
So I've listened to Tommy Robinson.
Yes.
I've listened to Melanie Phillips.
Yes.
Douglas Murray. Lauren Southern. Faith Goldie.
Where does soy boy come from though?
Wait, it is a terminology that's used on the right to describe.
Americans.
American
And so which
right.
American rights did you get
American
that
conservatives
Yes.
have used that term to describe
Weak liberal men.
liberal
And so
left-wingers.
which ones did you watch to get that from?
I don't remember.
But you've
Not
generally
one.
been watching alt-right things and thinking, yeah.
No, again, you characterise it as alt-right.
Yeah, they characterise themselves.
I don't think they do.
The ones who say soy boy definitely do.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
They do. The
I'm
ones
pretty
who
sure
say
you're
soy
wrong.
boy call themselves.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Joe Rogan.
But just so you know, I also listen to Sam Harris.
Yes.
I also listen
Yeah.
to Christopher Hitchens.
Yes.
I also listen to Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes.
I also listen to let's just think of some other names.
Who you listen?
Diane Abbott.
Well, you don't listen to Diane Abbott. No one listens to Diane Abbott.
I listen to her.
She doesn't listen to herself. If you listen to her numbers, she goes, "Oh my God!"
My
But she
point-
probably doesn't actually. She probably thinks she's right.
My point to you, bro,
Go on.
is that I'll listen to lots of different.
Yeah, I do as
worldviews.
well. I watched a lot of alt-right stuff as well, and that's why I was interested in you and the soy boys thing.
Yeah, I've
You're
listened.
right, Bob.
I've listened to Mansour and to Hashim.
Yeah, it's good to watch.
I've listened to Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah.
Now,
So do you have a position on Tommy Robinson?
yes,
You do?
yeah,
Go on.
he needs to become a Christian.
Yeah. He's not one.
You know what my positioning on you is?
He's not a Christian.
Not that I'm aware of.
And
Do you know what my position on you is?
Go on.
You should become a Christian
I used to
too.
be a Christian. I used to be one. I used to be a Christian.
Used to be is no good. You need to be.
They used to be. Yeah, I used to be.
Give him a book.
I used to be a born again Christian.
Yeah. Why did you leave?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I did.
You know the parable of the
I did.
sower, right?
I did.
Do you know the parable of the sower?
So, I can't remember it. Go on.
I'll tell you the parable of the
go on,
sower.
go on.
That's right.
The Christ told his disciples a parable,
Yeah.
which is that a man sowed seed into a field,
Yeah.
and some of the seed landed on the ground,
On the good ground.
pavement,
Yeah.
and it was hard as rock. Some seeds fell onto rocks.
Yeah.
Some seeds fell amongst the weeds, and some seeds fell amongst the good soil.
Yeah.
And he went on to say that those that fell upon the hard rock
Yeah.
are those that hear the word of God and they are closed-minded to it. They shut their mind to it, they don't listen. Those that fell on the hard rock are those whose soil is not deep, and for a time
There you have it. Yeah,
they celebrate
Yeah, yeah.
the good news.
yeah.
But their root is not deep, and it doesn't go deep into
Yeah,
their
yeah.
lives. And those seeds that fall amongst weeds are like those
Yeah.
who hear the word rejoice,
Yeah.
but then the concerns of this world,
Yeah,
sex,
yeah, yeah.
drugs, and rock and
There
roll.
wasn't concerns as well. Shall I tell you how it happened?
One second, I will
Go
come
on.
back to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Take away from them
Yes.
that truth.
Yes.
But then there are those that hear the word of God, and they are like the seed upon which lands in the good soil, because the roots grow deep and the plant grows large,
Yes.
and they bear much fruit.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. You're a good preacher. I'll tell you what happened to me. Like I grew up a Christian amongst the Christian community.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I believed it really, really strongly. Like,
Yeah.
You know. And then I started working, and I started working with people who were non-Christians and that lot. And I realised that they weren't motivated by the devil.
Yep.
Or they weren't like, they just didn't know. They were just like, some people believe one thing, some people believe another thing. They just didn't know.
Yeah.
And they just and there was no Christians are nice people, and it's like when I lost my faith, when I went back to my church, there was people who they wanted me to become Christian still again, and they were like trying to win an argument with me like that, and I just thought, like, you know what I mean, you can move along
Yeah.
that. And there's other people who were like, Dave, how are you? And they really meant
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I realised that people aren't like good and bad according to religion. They're good and bad according
Can
to
I build on that
themselves.
point, because I think it's a good
please do,
point?
Yeah.
Firstly, please notice that the response was either become a Christian or Dave, how are you? Not we're going to kill you, you kuffar
No,
apostate.
absolutely, it doesn't. Yeah,
Just an interesting difference there. Yeah?
But not all Muslims will say that either, is it?
No, but Islam
Is it?
does, and that's
No,
the difference.
no, some
One
Islam
second,
does.
no.
Some Islam does.
Except Ahmadiyya Islam,
Some
but
Islam
that's
does.
condemned as a
Some
heresy
Islam
by
does.
every other Muslim.
And Sufis
No,
don't.
I'm sorry,
Sufis
Sufis do. Sufis do. I'm sorry,
Oh, I
Sufis
know
do.
really nice Sufis.
I know really
Some
nice
is really
Sufis.
nice. They're like
My
there's
lecturer at
nice-
university was a Sufi.
There's
He was
Muslims-
lovely.
There's Muslims here who
But
don't
he
want to
didn't
kill me.
argue. Right.
There's Muslims here who don't want to kill me.
So I'm sorry,
So
bro.
the same.
You're
It applies to Muslims
confusing.
too.
You're confusing, like most liberals do.
Am I a liberal?
I think you are. So you're confusing.
No, well, something now.
like most liberals do.
I'm a liberal. Hey, go on.
Do you want to listen?
Yeah, go on.
Right. You're confusing, like most liberals do, a critique of the ideology and the teaching of the religion with the critique of the people. Now, it might not be in the mental capacity of the liberals to make a distinguishment between those two things,
Sorry, say that
but
again.
it is within the capacity of a Christian to make a distinguishment between those two things, between the ideology and the practitioners.
Say that again. Sorry.
So, my point to you is,
Yeah.
one, we didn't try to kill you because our religion doesn't
But
teach
not
it.
all Muslims do either.
There you go again. He didn't listen.
Go on.
So,
No, I didn't. I
Yeah,
asked
you
you to
didn't.
explain it to me again.
Yeah, I will.
asked
I'll
you.
come.
Go
I'll
on,
circle
go
back
on.
around to
Yeah,
it.
go on.
I'll circle back around to it.
Yeah, go on.
But a much more point that I want to make to all the Christians who are watching this
Yes, Christians.
is how false characterizations about non-Christians works against us.
Hey?
Those characterizations, when they are confronted by the reality, undermine the faith of our own community. We need to raise our children. We need to raise and encourage one another to have as realistic a perspective upon non-Christians as we would expect non-Christians to have of us. And if we don't want non-Christians to characterize the Christian community, we must not characterize non-Christians. And too many fellowships do exactly that, as this brother's testimony shows. And when those
Same as Muslims.
characterizations, meet with reality, as seen here, they collapse in the face
What
of
collapse?
reality.
What
Your
collapse?
faith. So,
Oh, I see.
what we
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah. It
as
is, yeah,
Christians,
yeah. It just seems like
what we need to do as Christians is to teach the most realistic presentation of non-believers as possible, and also
Which is what?
equip our community to engage with those non-believers in a way that makes sense and deals with their perspectives,
Well, yeah, totally.
rather
Yeah, yeah.
than a simplistic characterization of their perspective. And maybe, I want to ask you a hypothetical question.
Yeah, you go on, Bob.
If you had been raised in the faith as I have just expressed it, do you think that you may well have ended up keeping your faith?
No, I was raised in the faith, and those people didn't put me off.
No.
Those people didn't put me off.
The question.
I was raised in the faith.
All right, he doesn't want to answer the question.
Answer the question. What?
Answer the question.
So the hypothetical question that I'm asking.
Yeah.
You've just.
All Christians were all wonderful.
No, I didn't say that.
What are you saying, then, Bob? What is he saying?
Yes, I like
What? Can help me out? What? What?
Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Okay. So if Christians had raised you not to believe in the simplistic black and white view of non-believers, when you had gone into the workplace, if you had been raised with an understanding of those people that was more realistic and more in keeping with what you experienced in reality, and if you had been raised in a way to engage with those people from a Christian perspective,
I engaged with people. People became Christians because I talked to them. Like 6 people became Christians.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Which
I mean, I was.
So we were going to talk about what specifically was it that.
Listen, what does Christianity teach you about relationships with non-Christians?
Teaches us to love them.
And what else does it teach you? Does it teach you that you aren't supposed to have a relationship
they're not part of the fellowship.
You aren't supposed to have a partner who's a non-Christian.
We're not to be in
You're
fellowship
not
with
supposed to
them.
be unequally yoked in relationship, a man and a woman. They call it unequally
Doesn't
yoked.
say a man and a woman.
No, but between a man and a woman, like you can marry a non-Christian.
Hold on.
Can a gay person be Christian?
Can you marry a non-Christian?
Well, let me just deal with those points.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
The passage that you're talking about is in the book of Corinthians.
Oh, nice.
And what it says is in dialogue about false religion, about engaging with and celebrating the pagan festivals in Corinth. And it says that the believer should not be unevenly yoked with the unbeliever, because what part does light have with darkness? What partnership is there between the false gods of
that
Rome
sort of thing, exactly.
and the
That's
Christian?
encouraging people to be separate.
So as Christians,
that's encouraging people to be separate.
as Christians, we are not to partake in any multi-faith ceremony where we act as if Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs and Buddhists and Christians are all worshipping the same God.
Right.
Those churches that do that are ignoring the apostolic teaching.
Right.
I can embrace you
Yeah.
and have time with you
Yeah.
on the basis that you are made in the image of God, and that gives you dignity apart from anything else. But I cannot have fellowship with you as a Christian. I can't celebrate
I
the
don't mind that.
sacraments
Muslims
with
can't
you.
either. Yeah, that's fine.
We can't enjoy the Lord's Supper together.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah? You can't be there at a baptism.
I mean, like I say, I didn't disagree with Christianity and think that Christians were wrong. I just like.
Go on, I really want to know why
I grew
you
up
stopped being a Christian.
I grew up a bit. I grew up a bit and had the experience of the world. And I realised there's lots of things which. I tell you what, I thought I had all the answers, and I didn't even know what the bloody questions were. You know, and so as I got older, I started questioning and questioning more. I had a nervous breakdown at the age of 25. Probably to do with a relationship, but I realised it was hidden stuff about me having a fear of hell.
Yeah.
It just caught up with me all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then I got to the end of that, like I was looking at my ceiling and there was leaves stuck all over the ceiling. It was very weird and very strange. At the end of that, I reaffirmed that I still didn't believe Christianity. I got over that fear of hell. I thought, I realised I transferred my because I've always, and I had like God-shaped hole in my, and I transferred my God to women, and so when relationships worked, I was wonderful. When they didn't, it's like my God had disappeared. And that's why I had a sort of a, I don't know if it's a nervous breakdown, but I had a breakdown.
And there'll be
without a house, without a job.
So let me address
stuff.
So there'll be some Christians who listen to this.
Yes.
And they'll latch onto that and say, "Oh no, you were never really a Christian."
Yeah, no.
Well, I'm not one of those people.
No, I don't know.
Because
I don't mind if
brother,
you do. Yeah, I don't mind if you do.
Shut up for a
second.
Go
on.
Just shut
Well,
up.
you like preaching away, Bob, don't you?
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up for a second.
Shut up for a second. Go on, Bob.
Like, let someone else.
There you go, mate.
Right. So the point that I'm making to you, right?
Yeah.
I fully accept that you were a Christian, you stopped being a Christian, and it came with consequences.
Maybe.
And the fact of the matter is, in the West, we are seeing massive apostasy from the church.
Apostasy.
huge
You do the same
numbers
thing.
of Christians who are leaving the faith.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're leaving the faith because the level of discipleship amongst our fellowships is rotten to the core.
That's not why I left.
One second.
I'm
What I've heard from your story
at that level.
is that emotionally, your faith was immature, not through your fault, but through the fault
Immature,
of the fellowship.
not knowing the answers
Yeah.
before I know the question.
Not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
necessarily knowing the right questions.
Yes, yeah.
And
That-
it's
that is
true.
immature. Yeah, that is,
It's
yeah.
true. Because in so many fellowships of the church in the West, we aren't dealing with the real questions that people are asking. What we're dealing with are the questions that Christians like to ask one another. And that means that when we teach Christians the questions that Christians like to ask one another, and then those Christians go out into a world that's asking totally different questions, and upon which the society is imposing totally different questions, the Christian is unequipped to deal with the questions themselves.
They are.
They are.
really are.
And so many of our
They are.
brothers and sisters are losing their faith because of that reason. And I would say to you, brother, because I experienced a similar crisis.
Did you?
Yeah,
What happened?
I'll tell you. When I left university, I experienced a crisis of having to deal with all of these questions inside of the church, inside of the Christian community, to which I found no answers. Like, how do you find a partner in a godly way in a society like the UK? Right?
Christian dating.
Right.
Yeah, there is. That's
On the
there
internet.
is.
On the internet.
It wasn't
The
there.
internet wasn't around then.
It wasn't there when I was there.
Yeah,
I'll
no
tell
way.
you.
Yeah, no
Without
way.
giving my age away, it wasn't there. It wasn't there.
yeah,
no
yeah,
internet
You must be
back
about the same age as me.
There was no
Bro.
internet back then.
Let me go on. I'm not
Go on,
Stone Age, mate. There wasn't internet. Right? But the point that I'm making to you is that I endured this kind of crisis
Yes.
in which questions that I needed, like how am I going to find a job? How am I going to find a house? How am I going to find
Usually
all
post-university
normal
isn't it?
questions?
Yeah, yeah. Post-university.
And the church had nothing to say.
Yeah.
The church had nothing to say,
Yeah.
and we still don't. Right? There has been initiatives by Christians now.
Yeah.
Christian dating websites,
Yeah.
Christian flat share. There are Christian websites now for everything.
Yeah.
We've been
But the
slow.
web wasn't around then, was it?
No, we've been. Well, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, but let me.
Oh, you're younger than me
Let
then.
me make the point. Let me make the point that I want to make.
Go
Is
on.
if the church had been dealing with the real answers that people face, rather than lots of people giving up the faith because they can't find the answers inside the community, what we would find is that actually people would become Christian because they're facing the same answers, and they would find the answers in the church.
You think they would?
Yes,
Maybe there aren't any answers.
there are
No,
really
they
basic
are, they
human
are.
questions.
Maybe there aren't
lots
answers.
of
No.
answers.
Like there's Christians struggling to get work now. you know?
Yeah, I know.
And what can the church say?
I know.
And what can the church
Well,
say?
what I would firstly say to every Christian looking for a job is try and work for a Christian organisation
Yeah.
How do they do that?
by applying. So, the point.
Applying shit. Go on. Sorry,
internet,
sorry
on
for
the
all the
internet.
Christians watching it.
But the point that I'm saying to you, bro, is, and this is I'm using it to make a point to my own people.
Yeah.
And
Shut
to my
up,
own
Bob. Now
community.
it's my. I'm going to talk now. Go on. Yeah, go on. Now.
Is that there's too many people like this guy. And it is too many people like this
I'm really
guy.
individual, man.
No, you're not.
But you
There's
were.
too many.
I'm not individual no more.
There's too many people like this guy, and it's our own fault. And until we deal with the reasons why people are leaving the faith,
But you haven't dealt with the reason
I will.
why I left.
I'm literally going to finish in 2 seconds. Until we deal with the reasons why people are leaving the faith, we won't be able to stop the rot. But more interestingly, everyone who leaves the faith is showing you a way that someone can convert to the faith, because every apostasy is a form of conversion. So they are showing you literally the way to bring people into the faith.
How can I do that? How can I convert back to Christianity if I don't believe it?
Well, for you,
Yeah, I don't believe it anymore.
For you, it's about re-examining some of the questions to which you think you've got the answers.
I don't think I've got the answers, Bob. I'm not saying I've got the answers. I'm saying, like, Christianity hasn't got the answers either. I don't think.
Answer me
maybe
this
there's some
question.
answers. Like,
Did Jesus Christ rise from the dead?
How would I bloody know? How the hell would I know, Bob?
Okay.
Oh, did you say you used to be a Christian? I'm very
Yeah, I
impressed.
did, yeah.
Did you believe it back then?
I did believe it.
You're very honest.
I knocked on people's doors,
Yes.
tell them about Jesus
Genuine,
back then.
genuine.
On a Sunday.
We couldn't have really believed it.
So let me
I knocked on people's doors, telling
For
them
you,
on a Sunday
one
morning.
second.
People were asking about Jesus.
I'm going to demonstrate
Imagine how
something.
happy they were.
I want to
see me.
demonstrate something to you. Go on. You said I don't know.
How would I know?
Let me finish.
I respect you.
If you are saying that your position is I do not know, what you're saying is there are a set of premises upon which you are basing that response. And those premises are conclusions.
Lack of knowledge, Bob.
So you're saying,
I don't know.
so you're saying, 1 second,
Lack of knowledge.
and on what are you saying that you don't have enough evidence to conclude that Jesus rose from the dead when the testimony of the church is that Christ did so?
The testimony of these Muslims can tell you all sorts of stuff as well.
And what they tell you is a load of rubbish.
In your opinion.
And historically too.
But I mean, I've got no idea if Jesus. But how would I know if Jesus? Just because somebody says Jesus rose from the dead, why would I believe it?
Right, so what you're saying
They
is...
say a lot of things about Prophet Muhammad.
I'm skeptical.
Absolutely.
about-
1 second, two
I'm very
things.
skeptical
One,
about
Muslims say that Jesus was never crucified. That contradicts all the historical evidence.
And Jehovah's Witnesses
Even-
is crucified on a pole.
And that also contradicts all the historical
He
evidence.
wasn't crucified on a pole.
He wasn't crucified on a pole.
And there's
Crucifixion
historical
was a
evidence.
cross. Yeah, he had a crossbar.
There's historical evidence. A crossbar.
Yes.
At
Yes.
least they say he was crucified.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It
He
doesn't
was
matter how he
crucified.
was crucified, but he was crucified. He
No,
died
there
for
is
our
there
sins.
is an
I don't-
important
why
thing.
do they think that's important?
Brother,
even?
brother,
Why
listen.
do they think that's important?
Listen, if you're saying that how do I know,
Yeah.
why should I believe? What you're really saying is that you have concluded that there isn't sufficient evidence
When
to believe in the resurrection.
I would believe in things. I try ever since I lost Christianity. I try very hard not to believe anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe things. It's like if I know something, if I know there's that policeman over there. You know what I mean? Like all that sort. Is that scientific
evidence,
based sort of thing? And because I needed to, because if I start believing things, if I like conspiracy theories, when 9/11 happened, like that, you know, if I start believing conspiracy theories, I would have gone bloody insane. So I'm thinking, I've never been to New York. I don't know about those planes hitting the building. I don't know what's going on, and I can read everything, and I don't decide to believe any of it. I don't decide to believe things. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've decided to believe things, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and like that's your choice, obviously. Like in a liberal country and all that.
There you go. It's my choice in a liberal country. So my point to you is, bro,
Go on, Bob.
you have already concluded that there isn't sufficient evidence.
If things change,
Would
I'll
you?
tell you.
Well, am I right?
If things change, I'll tell you.
Are you? Is that your position, or is it a characterization? Have you concluded that there is not sufficient evidence to believe in the resurrection?
I don't make a conclusion. It's all ongoing.
So
It's
explain
ongoing.
explain to me what. No, I think you're equivocating.
I'm not.
I genuinely
Is that
think
good or bad? What's equivocating?
It means that you're fudging it.
I'm not, mate. If someone brings me better evidence, I will make a belief, wouldn't I?
So everything that I'm hearing from you resonates with the narrative
I haven't got
that there is not sufficient evidence to believe in the resurrection.
If I see, no, I haven't seen sufficient evidence. Yeah.
Thank you. So I wasn't characterising
I haven't seen
you.
it, but I haven't
Right.
made a conclusion either, Bob.
No, you have.
I haven't.
De facto, you have.
I haven't made
Because
a conclusion.
nature abhors a vacuum. And the thing
Well,
is,
nature can abhor all the hell it likes, can't it, Bob?
well, you're demonstrating the fact that
Go on.
by saying that you don't believe that there's sufficient evidence to believe in the
I
resurrection,
didn't say I don't believe there.
You
I
have-
said I'm not aware of it.
you have
I'm not
de
aware of
facto.
it. I'm not aware of it.
you have de facto said that you don't believe in the resurrection.
I
It's
don't
a
believe in
natural
belief.
following
Bob.
of
I don't
logic.
believe in belief. Things that either are
Do you
or
believe
they're
that?
not. I don't believe in belief.
Do you believe that?
What?
What you've just said?
I don't believe in belief.
Do you believe it?
I don't believe in belief.
Yeah, but do you believe that?
No, I don't believe in belief.
So do you
how
believe
would I
what you've
believe
just
it?
said?
How would I believe it?
So you don't believe in what you've just
you
said?
believe that. Yeah,
So hold on. He's just said, I don't believe in
Look,
belief.
Look,
So if I don't believe in the belief, I don't believe in don't believing.
I don't believe in belief. So there are things either are or they're not. There either is a God or there isn't one. Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that
Well, you do believe in
I
something.
believe there either is one or there isn't one. And if I get new information, I would if someone proved to me irrefutably that Jesus rose from the dead or something,
Yeah.
I would think, oh right, I hope that I'd be able to change my opinion. Like,
So what
I'm
would you
sort of
consider
open-minded.
to be irrefutable proof?
I don't know. God knows.
Now, do you, hold on a second,
I don't know.
do you not think that that is an appropriate question upon which to begin a true investigation? What counts as appropriate evidence to believe in the resurrection?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think evidence is a good idea. Yeah.
Right, so don't you think that you should first answer the question to yourself, and I invite anyone else who doesn't believe in the resurrection to ask this question of themselves, what constitutes to you to be necessary proof?
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's a question
Yeah,
that
I
you
suppose
need
so,
to
yeah.
answer for yourself. Because I would say to you this.
Well, I don't need to answer that any more than I need to answer whether these Muslims they come up with the same thing. Oh, there's Trinity. Is there three? Is there not three? Oh yeah, is there
There's
Jesus?
three gods,
It's like,
one God, all that.
well, he believes this. These Muslims believe that.
Please
I don't
notice.
believe or
one
disbelieve
second.
anything.
Please notice
Notice.
that quite independently of any provocation from myself,
Yes.
he has just testified that the Dawa team go around attacking the Trinity.
Yeah,
And
they do.
yet,
no, it's not
they do.
testified. I saw you arguing with him on video, but I'm not
And so-
testifying.
and so-
I saw you arguing with him about it.
And so, come to
argument.
us saying, "Oh, you only attack Islam," but that's what they're doing around the
They
park right
always
now.
ask. That's the first
Well, of
question
course
they ask
can,
about
yeah.
Christians.
Of course they can.
Yeah.
Of course they
So
can.
now let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got to ask yourself, because would you agree with me that the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ are historical questions?
Yes.
Right. So in terms of what counts as sufficient proof to believe in the resurrection,
Yeah.
we would have to use a historical criteria.
Yes.
Yes. So far, so good. Now, do you know what is the historical criteria used by historians to decide what happens in history?
In terms of the resurrection.
In terms of any historical question.
Go on then, Bob.
Right.
I'm not sure what you're saying. Go on.
What they do, it's called the hypothesis with explanatory power. So what they, yeah, that's what they call it. It's a hypothesis. It's got to have.
Go on.
It's a narrative with a
Yeah, yeah,
explanatory power. So when a historian comes to a historical question,
Yeah.
they look at all the available evidence,
Yeah.
and then they have to come up with a hypothesis
Yeah.
that absorbs all of the evidence without straining,
Right.
without stretching,
Yeah.
and without manipulation.
Can you not just get to the historical proof of the resurrection?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, that, but like, go on. Go
Are you
on.
done?
Yeah, go on.
So they have to use all of the evidence
Yes.
without stretching or manipulation or bending,
Yeah.
right? Which is why the Dawa team are always selective in their text, and that's why they're not historical.
Yeah.
And then when they've done that, they have to have an hypothesis that explains all the available evidence. Okay?
go on.
And that evidence when it comes to Jesus Christ is not just the evidence of the New Testament.
Right.
It's also the writings of Tacitus,
Josephus.
Josephus,
Yeah.
Sartorius,
Yeah.
Pliny, and a whole bunch of others, as well as,
I'll look these up, thank you. Yeah,
as
right.
well as a whole set of strata of.
And do they all say he rose from the dead?
Well, I can go through what they say actually.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So they look at all this evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they come up with a hypothesis that explains everything without stretching. And the only explanation that I have found that's convincing is that Christ really rose from the dead.
What did they say which made you think that?
Right. Well, let me. It's actually the other way around. So when people like Dr. Bart Ehrman, who's an apostate like you, was a fundamentalist Christian.
That sounds bad,
It's a
doesn't it?
Christian thing.
Apostate, I didn't realise. Yeah.
Apostate is a Greek word, not an Arabic word.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So-
yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
So the
I learned something.
Is that when someone leaves a religion?
Yeah.
I learned something. Yeah.
So Bart Ehrman was a fundamentalist Christian
Yeah.
who lost his faith, like you
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Right.
And when he looks at all the historical data,
Yeah.
what he has to do is take out those bits of historical data that don't fit into his worldview, which means that he stops being a historian and he becomes a philosopher. And that's what everyone does who ignores the clear evidence for the resurrection.
Which is?
That the first believers proclaimed that Christ had risen from the dead.
That's the evidence.
With every predisposition
That is the evidence.
not to.
These guys, they said someone rose from the dead. That's the evidence, Bob.
Yes.
That's the evidence.
Yes.
Well done, Bob. Nice
Right,
one.
now
well
answer me
done.
this.
Well done,
Yeah,
Bob.
he's laughing.
Nice
He's laughing,
one.
but the
That's
joke's on
brilliant.
him.
Is that really the evidence?
That is the evidence.
They said that he rose from the dead.
Yep.
So that's the
it.
evidence.
So explain why they did.
Bob.
Explain why they did.
Yeah.
We're stumped.
Well, I got no idea what they did,
Hello.
Bob.
There you go.
Another one.
There
Why
you go.
did they? Why did they? Someone banged them on the
Explain
head.
why they did.
Why
Historically,
did
a
they?
lot of
Someone
people have
banged
said
them
a
on the
lot of
head.
things
I've
that's
got
not
no
true.
idea. And people say
Explain
all
it.
sorts of shit.
So,
People say all sorts of
so his argument is
No, I'm
people
not
say
saying
all
it's not
sorts of
true
shit.
even. It maybe it's true.
That's his argument.
Maybe it's true.
Great way to deal with the evidence.
What evidence?
Well, I don't
What
like
evidence,
that,
Bob?
but people
What-
say all sorts
What
of
evidence,
shit.
Bob? What
Really?
evidence, Bob?
That's not evidence.
What evidence?
It is an
What evidence that anybody rose from the dead, Bob? What evidence?
Okay, my faith is based upon the testimony of the apostles. Who
Exactly.
teach
It's not
this.
evidence, is it, Bob?
That is
It's-
evidence.
It's belief.
It
Bob.
is
It's
evidence
belief.
of
Which is why
their
I don't
belief.
Which is why I don't like
One second.
belief, isn't it?
One second. You do believe things. Stop lying.
I don't like belief.
You do believe
I
things.
don't like belief.
We've already
because of that.
established that you
I
have
don't like
beliefs.
belief because of
We've
that.
already established
Yeah,
beliefs.
you believe
Brother,
something these people said.
Before you-
There's nothing about anyone
before
rising
you-
from the dead.
before-
There's no
brother,
evidence of someone rising from the dead.
brother, you can-
you
he's
believe
triggered,
because
isn't he?
these people
He's
have said
triggered,
it.
he's triggered.
These people said
He's
it.
triggered. He's triggered. He
These
thinks
people
he's-
said it. I think
he's-
it's hilarious.
he's got his-
Bob. It's hilarious.
The
mate.
joke's on you if
It's
you'd listen.
hilarious. These people said it, so you believe it.
Are you done?
Fantastic.
Are you done?
Fantastic.
Are you done?
Where's your evidence
Are you
for
done?
Jesus raising from
Are
the
you
dead?
done? Are you
Do
done?
answer my question.
Are you done? Right. So now I want you to address my question. I want you to address
Go on,
this
what's that
question.
What's that question?
The first apostles,
Yeah.
with every cultural disposition not to, came to the conclusion and went and lived and preached and died for this conclusion.
They're really lovely
That
people. I
Christ-
think a lot of them are really great people.
Shut up
No,
for
I
a
do
second
really.
again and listen to the
He
question.
just goes on and on and on and just tells everyone else to shut up, doesn't it? It's boring, isn't it? Go on.
Right, so deal with the question.
Yeah, go on.
With every predisposition not to,
Yeah.
they came to the conclusion that a man they knew had died on a cross,
And rose from
was
the dead.
alive post-mortem,
Yeah.
and they lived it, preached it, and died for
Why,
it.
why did they?
My question to you is why?
Well, have you seen Buddhists, what they died for? Have you seen Muslims, what they died for? Have you seen, I mean, they believe things. They believe things. You believe things, Bob. These guys, they believe things.
Saying that they believe things
They believe
doesn't
things, Bob.
address the question
They-
why.
How would I know I wasn't there, Bob?
Right, so that's the question you have to deal with, brother.
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
You're really
know,
stumped,
Bob.
aren't you?
I don't. No, I've got no idea. You haven't seen any. You haven't bring any evidence on anybody raising from the dead. None.
Can you be
No,
100%?
I have.
None, Bob. You said you believe it
have.
because other people believed
Yeah.
it.
Correct.
You said you believe it because other people.
Correct. But now I'm asking, why did those first people believe it who had no one to tell them?
They're welcome to believe it, mate.
I know they're welcome to believe it, but why?
Why?
Why would I know?
They must have seen it.
That's a rapper.
How
There we
would I
go.
know?
We'll leave it at that, because that's the question
got a
you've got to
cigarette.
answer. That's
Nice
the
speaking
question.
to you, Bob.
Honestly, brother.
Nice speaking to you.
Thank
mate,
you. Nice
honestly.
speaking to
Yeah,
you as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
You're a really
yeah,
nice guy.
yeah, yeah.
But I would encourage you to pick
Yeah,
up
yeah.
that New
Yeah.
Testament again.
I like it. I really
Read
like
it.
lots in it. And
Because
and
you said,
and-
hold on, you said I have no evidence that a man rose from the
Yeah,
dead.
yeah, yeah.
That is evidence that a man rose from the dead. Deal with it.
I don't understand what on earth you're talking about. Thank you.
You do. You were
Thank
a
you very
Christian
much.
for long enough.
I really don't know. I really don't know. I really don't.
And that's the question. Stop, Jim. That's the question that I'd leave to all of you who are watching this program who aren't Christians. It's come up twice today in discussion. What is it that convinced the very first Christians, with every cultural disposition not to believe it, that Christ, a man that they had seen die on a cross, they had seen post-mortem? What convinced them of that? There was no one before them to preach it to them. So it wasn't that they were convinced. I'm convinced because others preached it to me. But I'm not asking you to believe on my testimony. I'm asking you to believe on their testimony. And the question that I propose that you all answer for yourselves is dealing with the evidence. What convinced that first Christian community to believe that their Messiah had risen from the dead? And when you answer that question in the affirmative, that he did rise from the dead, then you need to accept him as the Messiah and follow him as your Lord and your God.